go. What's up, chat? That was crazy, huh? That was crazy. We had a little bit of some crazy time. Hold on, is this too loud? That's louder than normal. How about that? Let's see, how about check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check, okay. Scooby-Doo? How about that? Music stop, there you go. Woo. We have sound now. Seems like sound. We've never had that problem before, which was interesting. We usually will lag out of the stream, but it seemed like the video was working, but we had no audio. We find a way to have new problems each stream. I like that. First stream of the year for you, Creek? I'm good though, I'm good. I'm very good. Been doing outdoor stuff with friends. Went to a tomato festival, that was pretty cool. It was kind of a small, like a mini one. Whole year since your last stream. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, what else has been up? Been working on Beagles stuff. Yeah, just hanging out. Yeah, what should we do? I didn't really have a plan. I just missed late night. Guess we could watch YouTube stuff. We could. Are there any games that we haven't played in a while? I posted about it in the yeah, we could do some Muppet stuff. I posted about it in the gaming channel, I think. But Steam is this year going to stop supporting Windows 7, which is what I use. But I've been meaning to upgrade somehow eventually. I don't know. Not sure what's gonna happen. That's what you get for being an old man, yeah. Usually there's like another option, but with Steam it's like you have to log in, so it's like I wouldn't even have access to playing a lot of my games. Which I don't play Steam that often, but we have a lot of stuff that's through Steam. Let's see. I'm gonna switch over to the Bomberman music. I do like this Wii Shop on repeat. How's everybody else doing? We're chilling. Oh yeah, FNAF DLC. I'm pretty sure my console capture card is 100% broken. So I have to order a new one. Unless I can get it to work. Might be a minute until we do console streams. Turn the music down again. Okay. I think I have it high, the desktop audio high. Check. Blah, blah, blah. That better? Yeah, let's see. Maybe we can pop some. We did start watching some like Muppet history stuff. That was cool. Went to a garage sale and got a little TV with a VCR. That's the best. Those are my favorite. You now find silly VHS tapes. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've always, almost exclusively, have watched stuff on those, and just have one in my room, the foot of the bed. What more could you want? I love that. And yeah, it's like fun because you can just find VHS for like $1 a lot of places. Cover and stickers, yes. Gotta. Most of mine that are TVs kind of started breaking, so sometimes they decide to just eat. I think I've talked about this before, but they just start to eat the VHS. They won't spit them out and you have to pry them out. That's scary. I've had other ones that spit them out before ever playing them and you have to make it eat it to be able to play it. But that's part of the fun. Oh shoot, you had a CRT and then put a tape in it and broke it. Yeah, there's a lot of weird mechanisms moving in them. I don't know if this is down your alley, but there's a cool free game called Voices of the Void. You search for alien signal. That's cool. Oh, it's itch.io game. Seems cool. Does seem kind of up my alley. Kind of a sleepy game. Is it free? I think it is. Let's see, let's read it. Description. Your work as a scientist in the isolated research lab in the mountains of Switzerland. Your task is to gather signals from space, analyze them, process them, and sell them to get points. You can get regular signals and objects like dwarf planets and stars, or you can get something unusual or strange. 30 plus days and events, 80 plus signals, Easter eggs. Sounds pretty cool. You play it? For the Garden Wall VHS. Ooh. Fan-made? That is cool. Awesome. SpongeBob VHS tape. Spooky Seems pretty cool. Spooky, what's that? What was that video series? Defunctland, was it? We could probably pop an episode or two of that. Also, let me get some things on the docket and we'll just...
Over the years, it has been
Miss Corey, you better tell her I say hi. I will. I'll tell her you all say hi. Whether you do or not. He's been doing so much epic art. Let's see. Oh, it's the Jim Henson. Yeah, so we watched 2 episodes, right? My computer's telling me we did 2. Maybe we'd start on 3. Sounds about right. I'll load that up in the docket. What else? While we're awake, does anyone want to do Gartic Phone, or are we kind of more chilling and watching stuff mode? I'm a bit tired, but if anyone was like really wanted to, I would be down to pop a round or 2. Down for Garlic. Alright. I'm sorry, Elio, that's okay. Yeah, maybe we'll just pop a quick round or 2. And then we'll watch some stuff, or maybe play a game or something, I don't know. I like these loose late nights. Got a loose leg. Gartic Phone. Okay, what should my name be? Oh. Any ideas? Butter. Butter is great. Even if that's not what you meant. Anyone have any ideas what my name should be? Today. My nickname of the day is... Everybody get an ad? Is it actually muted again? Oh, muted. Oh, you just gave me flashback. Whew. No, you're right. That should be what it is. Yeah, that's what you scared me. What if I started getting muted on everything? And this was all one long nightmare. Where my whole life, I just was muted. That'll work. Don't look at this.
When it comes to citing sources, details matter.
No.
Introducing Grammarly's citation.
Don't listen to Grammarly. Okay. I'm going to put the code link in the general, in the Discord, okay? Anyone wants to play around or shoe, hop on in. Pretty crazy. Squish. Squish is penguin, right? Or no? Feeling yes. We gotta keep Squish in the stream. Early morningers. Yeah, I squish. Yeah, I've been known to squish. There we go. Nice. I think that's everyone. Okay. What mode are we, chat? Ray Norman? Ellie, are you gonna try? Aw. Hell yeah. Maybe with less people it won't be so hard. I thought you weren't going to. Good, we get you in there. Hello, Mio. Right. I guess we could just do normal to warm up. Forget which new one that we tried that was really fun last time. Knock off is something longer since small group. Yeah, we could do normal long mode. Or what else is long? Still like hot here. Like we had a few days where it started to get kind of cold, and then now we're back to it being hot. I'm trying to go fall mode as well. Yeah, let's just do normal. Maybe we'll go do a long version. Let's see. Animation we want. Or 7. Anything else that we turn off? Action. I thought there was something else that we always turn off. Okay, we're going. Gave me a lot of time for this sentence. Okay. What else can we add? I wish you could, like, I don't know, shading is kind of hard without different shades of colors. There's probably a workaround, huh? Didn't fall officially start on this 22nd. How did it started already? I feel like someone told me that fall officially started and it felt early, but I was like, that's cool with me. Like, I thought it was like the first week of this month. Let me look it up. Oh, this says September 23rd. Yeah. But it says the astronomical start of fall is September 23rd, but the meteorological start of fall is September 1st. So, whatever that means. Yeah. I don't know what this means. Lucy! How was it? Damn, I'm jealous. Where did he play? I saw King Cruel in, I think, 2016, maybe. Roseland, nice. I saw him at Doug Fir before it moved. I think it moved or is moving. And it was like one of my first 21 and up shows, and it was like, at the time I was like, this is weird, it's all old people here, but King Cruel was awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I love the like live video stuff that he posted. Like the live films that he does are cool. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Oh, that's okay.
channel.
That's something. Cool backpack. I don't know what this is. That was fast. Sick. What we got? Okay. My prompt was, Michael is muted. Oh no, but there's kill. Whoa. My god. Penguin did it. Wait. That's crazy. No audio Animal Crossing with kill. We got that one. Nice. Dang. How do we do that? Yeah, it is fun with all regulars, I agree. It was an interesting time having it open, but... And it was kind of funny having it still being like all inside jokes, but then having strangers do it. McDonald's cheeseburger, no meat, fries instead. The McMario, hamburger with poutine instead of beef. To be fair, yeah, it does look very poutine-esque. I didn't know how to make it look like fries, so I got lazy with the detail. Whoa! Okay. Mario Happy Meal tempted by Mario Burger. That's awesome. I want to eat that. They gotta make this. They did do a Burger King burger with the red bun before, I think. Never had it. I had the black bun though, which is scary. It's your McD order. Yes. I caught the reference. Squish. Penguin. Veiny squish box. Okay. They turn Veiny into a cube. That was kind of close. Veiny bacon patty? I got veiny at least. I thought I thought it was a stretch guessing that it was veiny and it was gonna be something else. But we pretty much did it. I mean, veiny bacon patty is basically veiny squish box. That's true. Mario burger with real veins? Yeah, not enough veins in the Mario burger. Vein burger. Oh my god. Scary. That's scary. Ghost having a late night party. Yes. Ghost being audibly brainwashed, I think is what Elio said. I mean, yeah. Pretty much. Two ghosts jamming out. It's pretty much true. Right, Elio mode. Elmo likes cake and beef in bed. I didn't realize it was specific. Tired Elmo in bed eating late night snacks. But yeah, I guess it is beef and cake. Yeah, Kilk has all that stuff in it, so. Kilk has all the same components as beef. And also cake. Elmo in blue Minecraft bed drinking Kilk. That's a good, this is a hitter, freak. Hell yeah, let's get Lou in here. Oh, you're right there. Did you pick the face? I don't know if I can pick a face or not. Let's do your turn. King Cool is in. Okay. Ooh, we got Lo, is that Lovi? That's Ovi. Oh yeah. Do you guys want to do same thing, or do you guys want to do knockoff? I think knockoff is the one where you have less and less time, and they kind of, or do we just go OG first to let everyone be able to do an OG? Ovi. Yeah, that's because Ovi never L's. Ovi is dead. I ate the L. He is now. What if you became Wovi because you only W? Okay. Maybe we'll do another normal one and then we'll end it with a knockoff. Got no woes. Alright, let's do the same thing. Let's see. Gotta find some good new late night music. Good cherry slushy. Oh, I mean, I'm just saying words that don't mean anything. Don't worry, everyone. Get off. I don't remember what this looks like. Kicked you out? What? Elliot doesn't know who Vaney is? Mainly. Oh god.
The game's over.
out of time almost. Ugh, I needed more time on that one. That was a hard prompt. Whew. Worked up a sweat with that one. Music is done. Nintendo relaxing video game music, but it's extra nostalgic. That might be ads. Okay. Spider-Man, you guys got Spider-Man? Dude, yeah, I felt my confidence was dwindling on this one. Let's see what we got. Okay, mine was Veiny Mario Burger gives food poisoning to Luigi. Ooh, that's pretty good. Luigi eats the McMario Burger knowing he is not Mario and dies. Whoa, that's true. That equals death. Rip. Wireframe Luigi shooting the Spider-Verse burger at Luigi. Those look kind of like shooting now. Oh! That escalated. I mean, it's the same, it has the same ending, more or less, like that. This is like emo, it's not that, I mean, it is cozy, I guess. Hold on. Yeah, this is like too rainy. We're just gonna play Bomberman again. Okay, sorry. Worm Tornado. Yes. Worm Tornado. Weather outside my village. Worm Tornado. There we go. We did it. It's a good one. Words of Canada? I probably get DMCA'd. But for some reason, you don't with like Nintendo stuff. I play it a lot. Wormnado. Does anyone have the Wormnado soundtrack? Okay. Evil Vein Dealer. Veiny asking for a few bucks wearing a trench coat. We did the same symbols. Veiny drug dealer in the rain. I like that one. Pretty much the same. Yeah, this one's cool. But not filled. Nice. It's a good Veiny story. Annie is your neighbor? I guess. I didn't know. Annie versus Ovi. Intense battle. I like this Vaney a lot. Ovi. Vaney Man versus Green W. Oh. Buff Vaney all grown up versus Buff Gex. Can't watch. Guess this is Wovi, technically. I needed more time on this one. Ow, muscles take too much work. Yeah, big veiny presence tonight for sure. I liked how this veiny turned out though, it was making me laugh. Okay. Ginger goes out and gets ribs. Oh, I see. You're doing a King Cruel thing. The Hamburglar got a new rib cage. I really like this drawing. Like the style looks really cool. Uh-oh. Robber rib replacement. This is good too. Dang, Creek's art is cool too. Oh, you could do that? Oh, you could do that. Target cherry slushy. Cherry slushy from Target. Yes! Much better, huh? This should be the new Target logo. It has way more personality. That'd be cool. Like an eyeball. Target slushy, maybe Spider-Man related? Ooh. Beautiful. Wait, how do you do? Oh, there's like oh, there's an opacity, right? I guess that's how you would do shading, huh? You use the opacity tool and you just, oh, I didn't even think about that. Stuff, guys, I like that. Okay, should we do one cursed round and then we'll move on to something? Going to kick the hay, okay. Kick the hay. That's okay, Lucy. Tea break, okay. Tea break, people. A good night, Lou. Kick Lou's. Oh. Okay, so I think next we're gonna do a round of do knockoff. That'll be our last garlic phone round. I can't stay up too late, but we'll, you know, we'll do a little bit of who's Vaney? We'll do a little bit of YouTube watching and chilling. And it'll be low key. I'm hoping I can get the weird phone thing figured out. I've never had that issue where it's muted. I was kind of excited to get back into Berland, do some fishing. Okay, back. All right, we're gonna do some knockoff. Ooh, what's up, Nitro Toad? You want to join? We're just about to do our last round. We're gonna play knockoff. If you want to join, the link is in the Discord. General. Okay, you'll watch. Epic. Right, we're gonna pop it in. Just gonna do a round here. What should we draw? Guess we could just it's not supposed to be that. But you're right, you're right. I do look like that would be a funny thing to draw. It does. Right, you're right. That'll have to do. Oof. I got crazy, a little bit crazy. Anybody sweat? Not tough. We glitch. I don't know why I was trying to draw a green character and Nitro Toad said it looked like evil weed. That's what was making me laugh. It does. It looks just, but it's just a green funny kid. Creek, that's what Creek drew anyways. Guess it does look drink. I like that it became a little more clovery. Oh, starting to look a little more Gex-like there. Getting in Gex territory here. Wait, who is Veiny, by the way? We know who Veiny is? Is Veiny Elio? Okay. Forgot that Elio left. It's the real Veiny. This Spark. Aww. I love, that's epic. Look at that. I like this. This dude is awesome. Love that. Gnome. It's no. got very minimal with it. This is not worded. Yes, we know. Yes. I think some of them have 2 eyes. Yeah. They're only 1 off. I added the eyeball back. Guesswork. Yes. Bird thing. Whoa. Became the Mike Wazowski. Oh, bye. Yeah, I forgot. Pretty cool. Oh yeah, that one's good. I like the hair. That's a new character. We need a name for this character. That's just Nugget. But Nugget is the toxin. Aw. Yes. That epic drawing, Ellie. Oh, what the? Is that a puffin? Fast drawing. I had butchered it a little bit. I got the gist, though, I guess. These 3 are spot on. It's like 2 different. Really like that, Elliot. Nice. Well, that was good. Nice. A little garlic phone. Getting into late night warmed up. Like that a lot. Now, maybe we'll just we'll watch some Defunctland, and then we'll hit it. But I do think I'm gonna do more late nights before the Frogville event. Fall makes me, I definitely gonna do mostly late nights for a while. I kind of want to pivot a little bit towards like Frogville streams. I'll do it every week if we have something, but I think I'm gonna make it more like events based, and then I'll probably play on it more too. But I definitely want to do lots of late nights again. We love late night. Okay. Defunct. That was some good drawings in there. Some good stuff. Did everybody save what they need to... Does it close if I close the window? Wonder. Okay. Alright, let's pop. We're getting funked. Defunk. This right size again. I do this. All right. Ooh, 40 min. Is this the right one? Hold on. I think it's the right one. Wait, this is the right one? Picked the wrong one.
Over the years, it has been my good fortune and pleasure to report to you from the 7 continents and the 7 seas. Right. And now, if I...
Alright, we're gonna watch a little bit of history and chill.
What are you doing, boss?
You guys hear
I'm trying to get the word out about my brand since you can't build me a website, Cody. Buy my product! But boss, I signed us up for Squarespace, like you said, and now your website looks great. Buy my... What? Cody, my boy, that's great to hear! Wow!
In early 1976, writer Jerry Jewell was living in California with his wife Susan. It had been 15 years since Jewell had become the first employee of the now famous puppeteer Jim Henson. He had begun work on Sam and Friends in Maryland on WRC-TV for the last few months of its run. Immediately afterwards, Jewell followed Henson and his family to New York City, helping him build his team of puppeteers and beginning his work as Henson's go-to writer, penning the Tinkerdy pilots and the script for The Great Santa Claus Switch. In 1969, Jerry and Susan informed Jim that they would be moving out to Los Angeles to continue his writing career. Jim wished him well, and the two continued to work together, albeit remotely. Jewell would help write for Sesame Street, the Tales from Muppetland specials, and the first pilot for Jim's Muppet Show, The Muppets Valentine Show. However, Jewell would not help write for Jim's 1975 pilot, The Muppet Show Sex and Violence, and the lack of his voice was apparent. Jewell was always praised for his grip on character and structure, two things that the Sex and Violence pilot were clearly missing. In late 1975, Jewell's phone rang. On the other end was Jim Henson, holding a list of talking points to break the good and bad news to his friend. The good news was that Jim had finally been greenlit for a weekly Muppet Show. The bad news was that one of the conditions was that Jewell could not be head writer, as a more experienced comedy writer was to be given the title in order to ease the minds of the studio. Jewell agreed to write for the show without the head position. This surely meant that he would have to move back to New York. But Jim had one more piece of news. The show wasn't shooting in New York,
Animal Crossing
or even Los
didn't work,
Angeles.
so we're
Jim was asking
hanging
Jerry
out
to
upstairs.
follow him to England.
different kind of animals.
Hello there. My name is Jim Henson, and I'm a puppeteer. I'm called a puppeteer because I work with puppets.
Okay, you're gonna love this story. Greatest story in the world.
What apple,
Hey, thank you, and welcome again to another Muppet Show.
I played the song.
Jack Burns was a comedian in the truest of senses. He had been a member of the Second City improv troupe, and he had formed 2 successful comedy duos, one with George Carlin and another with Avery Schreiber. He had acted in a number of television shows, and he had written for the Laugh-In-inspired variety show Hee Haw. In producer Lord Lou Grade's mind, he was the perfect type of head writer for The Muppet Show. In November of 1975, developmental meetings between Burns, Jewell, and Henson were held. The first thing to nail down was the premise and format. The Muppet Valentine Show and The Muppet Show Sex and Violence had a few similarities that they could draw from. For one, they were both variety shows with musical numbers and short skits. This is the format in which the Muppets thrived, but the series would need a premise that helped hold these segments together. The Muppets Valentine Show was too heavy on its specific story to be replicated, and it could have used a few more skits. The Muppet Show Sex and Violence needed less skits and more character. Another similarity between the 2 specials was the show within a show format. In The Muppets Valentine Show, Wally was writing the screenplay. In The Muppet Show Sex and Violence, Nigel and friends were putting on a pageant. The concept that emerged from the brainstorming sessions was a group of Muppets attempting to put on a vaudeville show in an old theater. The concept was nothing groundbreaking, and the team wasn't 100% confident in the idea. One positive of the format was the ability to bring on a human guest star for each episode. Mia Farrow's role in the Muppet Valentine special seemed to prove that the audience needed a human to ground the show, or at the very least, give the Muppets something to play off of. On top of this, a list of celebrity guest stars would help sell the show to more stations. The idea was great, but the execution would be difficult. Jim's agent, Bernie Brillstein, was tasked with finding celebrities that would be okay with traveling to London for a week to shoot a syndicated puppet show that didn't pay that well, which, if you can believe it, many declined. Brillstein had to resort to calling in favors from friends and clients, and he was able to secure dancer Juliet Prowse and actress Connie Stevens for the show's 2 pilot episodes. These episodes would be filmed, edited, and shopped around to any US stations that would be willing to purchase the syndication rights to air the show. It was convoluted, backwards, and a huge risk. But Grade believed in Jim and the Muppets, and he was giving them a huge opportunity. With Brillstein, Jewell, Burns, and Henson's producer, David Laser, on board, Jim needed to assemble the rest of his team. His regular puppeteering team, including Frank Oz, Dave Goelz, and Richard Hunt, would make the trip overseas. Unfortunately, performer Jerry Nelson would not be able to travel for the filming of the pilot episodes. Henson would bring 2 more performers he had worked with, John Lovelady and Aaron Oskar. Jim would also bring another puppeteer out with him, his wife Jane. Jane, Jim's first performing partner, had focused on raising their family, which had grown to 5 children, Lisa, Brian, Cheryl, John, and Heather. She was still able to find time to help Jim when he needed it, providing additional puppeteering on many projects, often going uncredited. Jim and Jane's relationship had become strained over the past few years. Jim's hectic schedule was not easy to deal with, and although he made time for his family, he was definitely torn between 2 worlds. Communication was another issue between Jim and Jane. Jim's soft, gentle nature, which his friends and coworkers admired, was not helpful in serious conversations pertaining to the family or their relationship. Despite the 2 growing apart, Jane remained an essential asset of the Muppets. For one, she had a sharp eye for talent, and Jane would help Jim in recruiting puppeteers. Jane was also one of the few people that could tell Jim the truth about his work, even if it wasn't positive. Jim didn't take criticism exceedingly well, and Jane was one of the few people he trusted for an honest opinion. Another was Frank Oz, who with his direct and aggressive nature, had no issue in telling Jim how he felt. It was this dichotomy that made their friendship work, and the juxtaposition that had created Bert and Ernie, 2 of the most popular Muppet characters. Even with a full team of puppeteers, writers, and crew from Grade's Elstree Studios, there were still a lot of frogs and dogs and bears and chickens and whatevers that needed to be brought onto the show. Many characters from previous specials would be brought back as performers or workers on the show within a show. The Swedish chef, performed by Henson with hands now puppeteered by Oz, would perform as zany cooking demonstrations. George the janitor, performed by Oz, would be the show's janitor. Mildred, who was passed between performers, was added to various sketches despite not having a role in the show. Sam Eagle would return as the show's morally upright censor and fine art curator. The full Electric Mayhem Band would be the house band. and many of the members would perform in the orchestra. Crazy Harry, performed by Lovelady, would be the show's unpredictable pyrotechnics expert, and the elderly gentleman from Sex and Violence, Statler and Waldorf, performed by Richard Hunt and Henson respectively, were given a seat in the theater's balcony, where they would comment on the show and heckle the cast.
I love it, I love it.
I know about this theater.
He's the kind of guy who plants poison ivy.
Other Muppets such as Sweetums and the cast of Frogs, Pigs, Chickens, Frackles, and the interchangeable Muppet Whatnots would be used as needed. Since Jim and his team had been constantly appearing on variety shows performing skits for nearly 2 decades, the Muppets already had a few acts to integrate into the show. A skit named Menomina, which Jim had first used for Sesame Street in 1969, had been evolving for over 6 years. The skit featured a nonsense song originally written for an Italian sex documentary that just so happened to be extremely catchy. New or evolved Muppets would be created for the 2 pilots, including a singing duo named Wayne and Wanda, performed by Hunt and Oscar respectively, that could never seem to make it.
Does Animal ever do it? For some reason I thought Animal did it.
Performed by Henson, that would quickly run on stage to give Muppet news flashes. Dr. Bunsen Honeydew, performed by Goals, who would give demonstrations of the new technology being developed by Muppet Labs, and Hilda, the show's seamstress, performed by Oscar, who was typically involved in the show's backstage plots. Another singer would be the prima donna pig, Miss Piggy, performed interchangeably by Richard Hunt and Frank Oz. In one sketch in the Juliet Prowse pilot, she was voiced by both Oz and Hunt, with Oz providing some spoken dialogue and Hunt providing her vocals.
Yes, my love.
I didn't know that.
Dave Goelz, who was still helping in the Muppet Workshop, was more or less forced by Jim to perform on The Muppet Show. Jim saw potential in the puppeteer, even when Goelz was uncertain about his talents. Jim wanted him to play the Muppet Show's resident daredevil, named Gonzo the Great, pulling a Muppet at random from the collection, the cigar box Frackle from the Great Santa Claus Switch, handing it to Goelz and saying, "This could be Gonzo." Goelz's lack of confidence in his own performances created a very hypocritical Gonzo. On one hand, he was a daredevil that believed his performances were high art, getting mad at the audience when they rejected his attempts to eat a rubber tire to the music of The Flight of the Bumblebee. On the other hand, he was a sad, pathetic character with a baby voice.
Really? You think I'm emotionally mature enough to move up to a Raggedy Ann?
He clearly needed work, but if it was any consolation for the nervous Goelz, the great Frank Oz was having trouble establishing his main character as well. The show's resident comedian would be a bear named Fozzie. Oz gave the character a low, gruff voice to deliver his unbearably bad jokes with.
All right, everybody, reach for the floor.
The character also had a unique mechanism that allowed him to lower and raise the corners of his mouth, allowing him to frown and smile. Oz was one, if not the best performer that Jim had, although he shrugged off the group's performances with his incessantly sarcastic personality, often quipping, "Ready to wiggle some dolls?" before performances. Still, his comedic timing and delivery, especially when paired with Jim, was next to none. Ernie and Bert were proof of this, but recreating that magic with new characters was proving to be difficult. Fozzie became the victim of Statler and Waldorf, but the balance wasn't right. Similar acts, such as one performed by comedian Milton Berle, proved that the setup works. Unfortunately, Fozzie's constant failures were more sad than funny, which held his character back. Finally, Jim needed a main character, and the Muppet Show needed a host. The host of the Sex and Violence pilot, the drowsy Nigel, was cast to the role of conductor of the orchestra, and Jim was left searching for a lead. The obvious choices were Rolf and Kermit. Rolf had seemed to run his course in mainstream popularity, but Jim would not waste him as he had done in Sex and Violence. Rolf would be the show's resident pianist, and he would be given his own segments. This left Jim with Kermit, one of his most recognizable Muppets, especially among the adult crowd. Jim had been working with Kermit for over 20 years by this point, and the character had yet to find his footing. On Sesame Street, he was the adult interacting with children or Muppets that acted like children, but even on the preschool program, he had an unrestrained anger to him, and he often came off as rude and grumpy.
You big, dumb, stupid, rotten monster! You make me so mad I don't believe it! You are without a doubt one of the nastiest monsters I've ever seen!
Also, Kermit's moonlighting on late-night shows and other specials had caused a bit of controversy with his Sesame Street gig. In 1970, he provided lead-in segments to the commercials airing during Hey Cinderella, and a few critics were quick to point out that a Sesame Street character shouldn't be used to sell products. Still, there were glimpses of depth in the frog. In 1970, he would sing a song on Sesame Street written by songwriter Joe Raposo, titled Being Green. The song saw Kermit taking a moment to reflect on his ordinary and possibly dull coloring. In the final verse of the song, Kermit realizes that the way he is beautiful, and that it's the way he wants to be. The song would become a hit, and it would be covered by many famous musicians, including Frank Sinatra and Lena Horne. When Kermit's character developed on Sesame Street, finally lightening up a bit, his personality split in two. In the morning, he could be seen talking gently to children and teaching them the alphabet, but in the evening, he would be on Jim's arm appearing on late-night shows. Here, he would act as a foil to the kind Jim, once again coming off as rude. Jim's decision to place Kermit as the host of The Muppet Show would be one of the best decisions he would make, because it gave the character something he needed desperately: a home. As the showrunner, host, and boss of the bizarre group of weirdos that resided at The Muppet Show, Kermit could finally become an extension of Jim, who had a very similar role with his team, while also being able to get angry and yell, something Jim never did. After the character was given the job, he no longer came off as rude or grumpy. Instead, he was merely trying to make everything work with a group of people that were making it extremely hard for him. In this way, he was the show's most relatable character, and he would often take quiet moments to break the fourth wall, confiding in the audience.
Sometimes the crown weighs rather heavy on this little froggy head.
Kermit was one of the few characters that worked right away, whether he was talking to the guest in the show's talk spot or watching the performances with a horrified look off stage. The Juliet Prowse and Connie Stevens episodes were shot in January of 1976. After this, the performers returned to the United States to continue their work on Saturday Night Live, while Brillstein and Laser shopped the pilots around. With 2 episodes of The Muppet Show to display to programmers, they would now be able to convince more stations to syndicate the independently produced show. After seeing a preview of the brand new Muppet Show, the consensus was unanimous. It was a resounding no. The show's pacing and format didn't work, and even Lou Grade's American producer believed the show's humor was too British. The show's intro, for instance, was way too long, featuring a full preview of the show to come, with multiple lines that would end up being cut, such as Kermit singing, "The show tonight will feature a lovely song or two. We also have some dancing, if that's what pleases you, and Fozzie Bear will tell you some jokes you never knew," before finally singing, "To introduce our guest star, that's what I'm here to do." The backstage segments also fell flat, including a scene where Kermit asks one of the chorus girls out on a date, only to get rejected. Jim, never one to take criticism well, stewed in the rejection for a short while, before laughing it off. After all, the team had 22 more episodes to shoot, and they would clearly have to rework the 2 they had already made. Jim's entire career had been leading up to this moment, and while such a strong rejection of his work hurt deeply, he knew that the only possible way to move forward was to improve the show and hope the new product would be better received. Of course, Jim didn't say this. He just quietly muttered, "It's not the end of the world," and then had a drink with Laser. On May 5th, 1976, Jim and his team sailed to London, leaving behind SNL, which had luckily been simple considering that no involved party had benefited from the collaboration.
They burned our scenery. We're no longer booked on the show, and they said we're puppets, and that we don't even have a lower half. What do we do?
Don't look down.
Jane would stay with Jim for just the first few weeks of the 6 months he and the other Muppet performers would be in London before returning to look after their children. This left Jim, Jewel, Burns, Oz, Goals, Hunt, Lovelady, Oscar, and the crew at Grade's Elstree Studios to make the Muppet magic happen. Performer Jerry Nelson would join his friends to perform on the show in just a few weeks, and Jim assigned Muppet builder Bonnie Erickson to set up a new workshop at Elstree Studios to create the endless amount of puppets Jim would need for the show. With everyone on board and settled in, there was only a few things left to do. It was time to play the music, and it was time to light the lights.
Oh! It's Oreos.
Kermit was becoming the glue that held the rest of the Muppet cast together. Jim was the glue that held together his team. The Muppet Show ran on a tight schedule, and Jim could be found running back and forth between rehearsals, the editing room, the writing room, and anywhere else along the chain of production. Everyone knew the show needed to improve, but it was also clear that they had little time to do it. The first guest would be Broadway star Joel Grey. The first thing to fix was the characters. Oz would be given a new Fozzie puppet, with the frown mechanism being replaced with a new ability to wiggle the character's ears. Oz would also give Fozzie a new, higher-pitched voice. This added a bit of cuteness to the character, which paired nicely with his terrible comedy performances.
I don't approve of belly dancers. Why can't they dance on the floor like everyone else?
Burns and Jewel also wrote a storyline in which Fozzie was badgering the cast with his jokes, which proved a great backstage throughline for the episode. The plot ended with Fozzie defeating Statler and Waldorf, a possible attempt to balance the dynamic between the comedian and the hecklers. One positive of the two pilots were the musical numbers. Jim's eccentric and diverse taste in music had always been a part of the Muppet Ensemble's personality, and Jim had favorites in almost every genre, ranging from novelty to bluegrass. The recording sessions for the Muppet songs was one of his favorite phases of production, getting to have fun with all of his friends singing the songs he loved in funny voices. As he had done on Sam and Friends years prior, he would put odd twists on some of his favorite songs, such as an alien jazz number transitioning into a soft version of You Are My Sunshine. As many of the guests Brillstein was lining up were singers, the Muppet Show would feature music more than any other act. Another positive of this setup was the more the characters were singing, the less they were talking, giving the performers more time to figure out their characters. The recurring segments would also be constantly created, improved, or removed. The pun-filled At the Dance, a leftover from the Sex and Violence pilot, would return despite the mixed feelings the writers and performers had toward it. And the lackluster Panel Discussions, a segment in which the Muppets tried and failed to engage in serious debates. And Talking Houses, a series of skits featuring talking homes delivering house and building related punchlines, were created. The Joel Grey episode would be better than the previous two, and the Muppets took advantage of the guest talents by having him perform two great numbers. The next episode would star comedian Ruth Buzzy, and it would introduce Hunt's main character, a PA that constantly pestered Kermit, named Scooter. Scooter had a childlike persistence and energy, similar to Hunt's own personality, and he would never stop talking, especially around Kermit, which was similar to Hunt's relationship with Jim, although Jim only pretended to be frustrated with Hunt in real life.
When I came into the thing, I was 18, and I was really energetic, and, I'd say, yeah, sure, everything you want to do, boss, no problem. I talked a lot like him. He's my voice when I was younger, like this.
A breakthrough around this time was a moment in rehearsal for a scene with Piggy and Kermit, in which Piggy was scripted to slap the frog that she was in love with. Oz, who was performing Piggy during the scene, had her karate chop Kermit instead, screaming hi-ya as she pummeled the frog without mercy. Everyone in the room was filled with laughter, and Oz saw depth to Piggy's character for the first time. The next episode to film, guest starring comedian Harvey Korman, would be a huge step forward. A new sketch, Veterinarian's Hospital, in which Ralph, playing the character Dr. Bob, spoofs the medical genre with his nurses and some clinically bad jokes, would be introduced.
How long have you been a nurse?
Well, what time is it?
Two memorable scenes would also come from this episode. In one, Fozzie's character seemed to solidify his place in the ensemble after dragging Kermit into a convoluted bit, making the frog give the punchline to his joke. A miscommunication between the two characters would lead to one of the show's funniest bits yet.
You're a wonderful-looking audience. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good grief, the comedian's a bear! You just said here.
That was the wrong here.
Which is the right here?
The other here.
Also in this episode was a musical number sung by Robin the Frog, performed by Jerry Nelson. Robin would sing one of Jim's childhood favorites, A.A. Milne's Halfway Down the Stairs. Robin's rendition of Halfway Down the Stairs would be one of the most memorable moments from season 1, and the sweet song would even make its way onto the UK singles chart the next year. Jim would also use another Milne favorite, Coddleston Pie, sung by Rolf in an episode guest starring Florence Henderson. The show's next episode, with guest star Rita Moreno, would be the best one yet, and the improvements the team had made were apparent. The Muppet Mania just might work. Fozzie's given a great running gag backstage and has some hilarious dialogue with Kermit, and Rita Moreno's show-stopping performance of Fever, with Animal distracting her, resulted in one of the show's first iconic moments. Since the episodes would be aired out of order, and the team believed that the syndicators would want to air the Moreno episode first, the writers would give Scooter a proper introduction for the show's 6th episode, guest starring Jim Neighbors, fully explaining Scooter's role as a gopher and his relationship with his uncle, who happens to own the theater the Muppets perform in.
I'm Scooter.
Cute. Cute name.
In episode 12, with guest star Peter Ustinov, Kermit would give a sweet rendition of Being Green after his performer seemed to be so infatuated with the guest star that they forgot about him completely. Brillstein, Laser, and Jim knew early on that finding guest stars for the show would be difficult, and they believed the only way to ensure more guests signing on was for the show's first guest to spread the word. This meant that the celebrities had to have a great time doing the show. It helped that Jim was already well known and respected throughout the entertainment industry, and many stars loved working with him. Laser took the responsibility of the executive point of contact with the guests, always making sure they were comfortable. The show's format put a spotlight on the celebrities, as they were the only human in the episode. The guests were also asked what they would like to do, whether it be comedy bits, singing, or dancing, instead of simply asking them to do what they were known for. The conscious effort to make a good impression worked, and word quickly spread through the industry that guest starring on The Muppet Show was a great time. The constant work meant a constant paycheck for the already well-off Henson. Jim was not modest with his wealth, whether it was when he was younger, purchasing a Rolls-Royce and driving it to his college graduation, or now taking elaborate European vacations during the short breaks in production. He was just as quick to spoil those around him as he was himself, bringing his family on vacation with him, finding apartments for his crew, and taking the Muppet performers and each guest star to an expensive wrap dinner after each episode was complete. In August of 1976, Jim and his team briefly returned to New York, shooting inserts for Sesame Street and promoting The Muppet Show on various programs. In September of 1976, the Rita Moreno episode of The Muppet Show premiered in the UK and the United States. The episode was warmly received, but it was not a smash hit. The humor still needed work, with some critics pointing out that Byrne's style seemed to be influencing the show more than the Muppets. Jim was already on his way back to London to shoot the remaining episodes of The Muppet Show's first season. The crew even went back and filmed additional scenes for the 2 pilots, even going as far as to explain some of the continuity errors.
Hey, Kermit, hey, does this sound like John Wayne?
Will you get on stage, Fozzie?
Jim would add a memorable number with Scooter and Fozzie, Simon Smith and his dancing bear in the Juliet Prowse episode, and Kermit would sing Lydia the Tattooed Lady in the Connie Stevens episode. The Muppet Show continued to release new episodes in the UK and the US, with Brillstein and Laser being able to sell the show to more and more stations. After the filming of Season 1 was complete, Jim and the Muppets returned to the United States, beginning work on another TV special, Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, an adaptation of a children's book of the same name. Emmett Otter would see Jim collaborating with songwriter Paul Williams, who had guest starred on episode 8 of The Muppet Show. The collaboration resulted in some of the catchiest songs in any Muppet special, and the sentimental ballad When the River Meets the Sea would be particularly memorable. It also featured some impressive puppet wizardry, including a radio-controlled Emmett Otter on a rowboat and other Muppets on snowmobiles. Still, Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas had trouble initially getting picked up by a television network, airing in Canada during 1977's Christmas season before landing on HBO in 1978, reaching far less viewership than Jim had hoped. The quaint special would grow in popularity over time, and it would eventually be regarded as a classic. Back in England, the popularity of The Muppet Show was skyrocketing. While it hadn't fully caught on in the States yet, The Muppet Show had created legions of fans, including both children and adults. It was even said that members of Parliament would gather water cooler style every Monday morning to discuss The Muppet Show episode from the night prior. In May 1977, the Muppets returned to London to begin work on a second season of The Muppet Show. Oscar and Lovelady would not return for the show's second season, and British actress Louise Gold would join the cast as a puppeteer. Brillstein had let head writer Jack Burns go. Burns and Henson had a few creative differences throughout the first season, and it was no secret that Henson preferred the writing style of his friend Jerry Jewell. Jewell would take over the post as head writer, and the change between seasons would be apparent. For one, a cold open with Scooter and the guest star was added, and a new opening was filmed, removing Kermit's mid-song introduction of the guest star and Fozzie's joke, replacing it with a cutaway to Statler and Waldorf.
Well, it's downhill from here.
Many of the characters would be rebuilt, most notably Gonzo and Miss Piggy. Goals had found Gonzo's character toward the end of Season 1, and with a new design, he was playing him as the king of the weirdos on The Muppet Show. Oz was now performing Miss Piggy full-time, no longer sharing the role with Hunt. Piggy's karate moves and attempts to upstage guest stars had made her one of The Muppet Show's most popular characters in the first season, despite her original intention as a background character. She would appear much more prominently going forward. The At the Dance segments appeared less regularly. Bunsen Honeydew's lab assistant Beaker, performed by Hunt, was added, and the panel discussions and talking house segments were removed. A new recurring skit, Pigs in Space, was introduced and would become extremely popular among audiences. The sketch, starring Miss Piggy, Link Hogthrob, performed by Henson, and Dr. Julia Strangepork, performed by Nelson, would spoof space operas such as Lost in Space and Star Trek. Another notable development in the season was Gonzo finding his love for chickens, who were given a hilarious performance of Babyface in the Edgar Bergen episode. In an episode starring Bernadette Peters, Robin is established as Kermit's nephew. In this episode, he wants to run away from home after being ignored by his uncle and feeling down on himself. But Peters and subsequently the rest of the Muppets sing Just One Person, showing how much they care and believe in him. Finding guest stars for Season 2 was much easier, and big names such as John Cleese, Steve Martin, Peter Sellers, Julie Andrews, and international ballet sensation Rudolf Nureyev would appear on the show. Two of Jim's personal inspirations, puppeteer Edgar Bergen and comedian Milton Berle, would even guest star. Muppet Mania finally hit the States in late 1977, with critics and audiences going wild over the show. The Muppets were awarded Entertainer of the Year by the American Guild of Variety Artists, as well as multiple Emmy nominations. A Kermit the Frog balloon would glide through the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Jim and the Muppets had proved every executive that turned them down wrong. Muppets were not for children. They were for everyone, in the truest sense of the word. Jim was thrilled, But his restless creative mind was not satisfied. Unlike Kermit the Frog, who would often get overwhelmed just trying to put on the show each week, Jim was always looking ahead for his next creative venture. It was as if time would find him if he stood still for too long. Instead, he kept racing away from it, trying to do as much as possible even with a full plate. His new idea would seem like a natural next step. He had secured his weekly puppet show, so why not make a puppet feature film? An unprecedented production would solidify the Muppets' success by having them appear on the big screen. Jim was also quietly planning a fantasy film, reaching out to illustrator Brian Froud about a possible non-Muppet feature. As for the Muppet movie, Jim was asking for an astronomical $8 million budget, but Grade couldn't turn down Henson, seeing how much he believed in the project. Jim would reach back out to Burns to help him draft the script. In early 1978, pre-production on The Muppet Show's third season was beginning. Bonnie Erickson left her post as head of the Elstree workshop to form her own company, being replaced by designer Amy Van Gilder. Erickson and Henson would miss each other, and Henson wished her the best. A short time later, the Muppet Workshop would suffer a more permanent loss. Muppet builder Don Saleen suddenly passed away on February 20th, 1978. The loss of the workshop's founder was devastating to the entire Muppet team, especially Jim, although he would not cry in front of his team. The spiritually curious Henson would simply say, "We'll see Don again." Those close to him would chalk it up to his unwavering optimism, the same optimism that had helped him get through the death of his brother. In April, the team was back in London shooting the third season of The Muppet Show. On top of the addition of Gold, a young puppeteer named Steve Whitmire would join the team. He had auditioned for Jane, and Jane, always one to spot talent in a person, passed him along to Jim. A slightly different opening was made for this season, and the new episodes featured a new setting, the show's cafeteria, with a cafeteria lady, Gladys, performed by Hunt. Gold's new character, a pig named Annie Sue, would become more prominent during this season and become Miss Piggy's rival. The Muppet cast, now almost as famous as any guest star, were taking over the show, with many episodes featuring heavier concept plots, such as an episode guest starring Loretta Lynn in which the Muppet Theater is being fumigated and the show must go on at a train station. More members of the Muppet Show were added, such as a new custodian named Beauregard, performed by Goals, that replaced George the janitor, and a sportscaster named Louis Kazager, and an odd performer with a boomerang fish act named Lou Zealand, both performed by Nelson. By this point, the Muppet Show was not just a hit in the UK and the US, it was a hit everywhere. It was reportedly showing in 106 countries and it garnered an audience of 235 million people. Some reports were saying that it was literally the most popular TV show on Earth, and Jim was ready to put the Muppets on the big screen. He had given the Muppet movie script to Jewel after Burns completed a draft. Jewel, always the best writer when it came to handling the characters, added an emotional core to the film that brought the cast of Muppets together in a satisfying and heartwarming way. Jim had also recruited Paul Williams to join the Muppets once again, writing original songs for the film, while composer Kenny Asher would write the score. While Jim wanted to direct, it was suggested that he find a more experienced director to handle the film. Jim was disappointed, but found a solid choice in director James Frawley. The film would see the Muppets outside of their natural habitat in the Muppet Theater, and would instead be an origin movie where each character would be introduced to one another in the real world. Henson, Oz, and Frawley would begin test shoots in the summer of 1978 to see how the characters looked outside of the studio.
Excuse me, guys. We're looking for Hollywood. Do you know anything about the way to Hollywood? Hollywood, California? No, it's over near Los Angeles. Have you ever been to excuse me. Los Angeles.
Taking a break from shooting The Muppet Show's third season, the Muppet team, along with new puppeteer Catherine Mullen, began production. The film was a testing ground for technical feats of both puppetry and filmmaking. Wide shots of Kermit riding a bike, scenes with the Muppets driving cars, and the opening scene, in which Kermit sings the sentimental song Rainbow Connection, pondering what it means to have a dream, would be filmed with Kermit playing the banjo on a floating log in the middle of a swamp. This was achieved by Jim building a swamp in a tank on a studio backlot, going beneath the water in a cramped diving bell, and sticking his hand up through the log. As usual, Jim's dedication paid off, and it would be the film's most memorable scene. The film was chock full of celebrity cameos, Muppet mayhem, and emotion. Jewel and Burns had wrote a solid script, and Kermit the Frog had never been closer to Jim Henson. Starting as a dreamer in a swamp, as Jim had started in Mississippi during his childhood, Kermit pursues his calling, finding friend after friend along the way. The film was full of emotional moments, such as a song from Gonzo titled "I'm Going to Go Back There Someday," about trying to recapture a magic that he had felt only briefly, and a beautiful scene in which Kermit talks to himself.
It's just because I'm far away from the mic.
I promised me.
The film also commented on the Muppet crew itself, with Jewel injecting representations of the love that the team felt for one another.
Yeah, well, I've got a dream too. It's about singing and dancing and making people happy. That's the kind of dream that gets better the more people you share it with. And, well, I found a whole bunch of friends who have the same dream. And it kind of makes us like a family.
At the end of the film, after defeating the evil Doc Hopper who wants to make Kermit a spokesperson for Frog Legs, the gang finally makes it to Hollywood, busting into the office of Hollywood executive Lou Lord, played by Orson Welles, a not-so-subtle reference to Lord Lou Grade. Lou Lord takes one look at the frog and his band of weirdos and says,
Miss Tracy, prepare the standard rich and famous contract for Kermit the Frog and Company.
It was a comical simplification of Jim and the Muppets' rise to fame, which took them 2 decades. The culmination of their work was on the screen, especially in the final shot, where over 250 of the workshop's creations appeared. Jim once again relied on the puppeteers of America, as well as his family and friends, to puppeteer the characters. The ensemble would sing the last lines to the closing song, a reprise of the Rainbow Connections line, "Someday we'll find it, the Rainbow Connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me," with the twist, "Life's like a movie, write your own ending, keep believing, keep pretending. We've done just what we set out to do, thanks to the lovers, the dreamers, and you." With production on the film complete, Jim and the Muppets returned to London in October of 1978 to film 6 more episodes of The Muppet Show, including a memorable episode with guest Harry Belafonte, with a hilarious rendition of the Banana Boat song and a beautiful rendition of Turn the World Around. The message of unity is something that Belafonte and Henson found a mutual passion in, and the episode would be one of Jim's favorites to produce. A new recurring sketch was created during this time, Bear on Patrol, in which Fozzie plays a police officer with Link Hogthrob being his chief. Also, more concept episodes were produced, such as a cowboy episode with guest stars Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, and a Robin Hood episode with guest star Lynn Redgrave. Season 3 of The Muppet Show would finish production in February of 1979, and the team would be back to work on Season 4 just 2 months later. Apart from yet another variation of the opening, the format and characters seemed to be more concrete, possibly thanks to a few new and improved designs from the Muppet movie. Also, because of the film, set to be released in May, Jim and the Muppets had to fit the filming of 6 episodes into 1 month. Jane and their 3 youngest children had joined him in London, which made the devoted father extremely happy. After the episodes were finished, Jim went on a promotional tour for the Muppet movie.
Louder and funnier.
Yes, sir. I'm doing my best out here.
You're dying.
The film premiered on May 31st, 1979 in London, and it would hit US theaters the next month. The film was praised by critics and audiences alike, and it would gross over $65 million, blowing its $8 million budget out of the water. It was indicative of just how strong the team's work was, and how much the audience loved it. Season 4 of The Muppet Show continued filming throughout the summer of 1979, until a union strike halted production. The Muppets and John Denver would develop a Christmas special together, called John Denver and the Muppets, A Christmas Together. Denver had guest starred on The Muppet Show early in Season 4, and the collaboration on the Christmas special, especially the soundtrack, would become hugely popular during the 1979 Christmas season. One of the songs, It's in Every One of Us, would be a personal favorite of Jim's, and Robin and Denver would sing When the River Meets the Sea from Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas on the album. Filming on Season 4 of The Muppet Show would resume after the strike ended in late October. One of Season 4's most memorable episodes would be when the cast of Star Wars visited the Muppet Theater. With the second film in the series, The Empire Strikes Back, set to release later that year, Luke Skywalker, his cousin Mark Hamill, Chewbacca, C-3PO, and R2-D2 made appearances. Empire, which had coincidentally been filmed at Elstree Studios, featured the new character, Jedi Master Yoda, performed by Frank Oz with assistance from Catherine Mullen, bringing the Muppets into George Lucas's world. Now, months later, Star Wars was brought into Jim Henson's world. The episode ended with everyone singing the classic Disney song, When You Wish Upon a Star, which in hindsight is a perfect illustration of the phrase, be careful what you wish for. In February 1980, the final episode of The Muppet Show's 4th season was complete. Each season had consisted of 24 episodes, for a grand total of 96 being produced thus far. The International Sensation's 5th season would put the show over the magic 100 episode number. the amount necessary to syndicate reruns of the show in rotation. Jim had decided that this was enough. Always looking forward, he planned that the upcoming season would be the last for The Muppet Show. He could have continued doing the program indefinitely, with the possibility that it would become a staple of television, a show with immunity to cancellation. But Henson wanted to end it on a high note, and he was happy that the royalties from the reruns could help him fund future creative projects. While he was proud of the show, he was already on to bigger ideas. The final season of The Muppet Show would film through the spring and summer of 1980. Another variant of the opening would be filmed.
Why do we always come here?
I guess we'll never know.
It's like a kind of torture to have to watch the show.
A new cold open format would begin each episode, and more concept episodes would be produced. It wouldn't be until June that the news would break that the 5th season of The Muppet Show would be final. But with pre-production on a second Muppet movie already underway, fans knew that Kermit and the gang weren't going anywhere. The final episode of The Muppet Show would film in mid-August of 1980, with guest star Gene Kelly. The episode featured a running gag in which characters referenced the end of the world, a subtle nod to the episode being the show's last to be produced.
The end is near. No, the end is now. We'll see you next time on The Muppet Show.
The crew at Elstree Studios was sad to see the Muppets go, and the send-off was bittersweet for the Muppet team. They were leaving behind the most successful show in the world, but they were following Jim Henson, and as usual, he was already one step ahead of them. Jim had developed as an artist throughout the years on The Muppet Show. Thanks in part to Jewel, characters became deeper, and there were more beats of sentimentality than just cartoon violence, puns, and dancing. The episode with Belafonte had shown Jim what his creations could do when thoughtfully tackling bigger topics, and it seemed Henson was listening to Kermit the Frog's advice: life's like a movie, write your own ending. While Henson didn't see an ending, he did see the next scene. He couldn't shake an idea that he had been given by entrepreneur Peter Orton at a private gathering. Orton had suggested that Jim create a children's show for the international market, taking some of the techniques developed for Sesame Street and combining them with the international reach of The Muppet Show. Instead of teaching letters and numbers, Jim had his eyes set on something more complex: love and life. He would recruit Jewel and Jocelyn Stevenson, a writer Jim had met through the Children's Television Workshop, among others, to help him brainstorm. They would need a world, new characters, and above all, a name. Jim liked the title Woozle World, but he was reminded that A.A. Milne had already popularized Woozles with Winnie the Pooh. It was then suggested to call the characters Googlies, but Jim didn't like the way it sounded. Then someone brought up Frackles, the name given to the henchman from the Great Santa Claus Switch. He thought about this. Frackles. It wasn't bad, but it could use some work.
Fraggle Rock. Yo, that's epic. We gotta watch that next time, huh? Like the sound of that. History of Fraggle. Epic. Alright, well, thank you, late nighters. I had to, hopefully my phone streams just start working again someday. I don't know, maybe I have to update some software or something. But I'm glad we could still squeeze in late night. I will see any Frogvillers on Thursday. We're doing a big camp. It was a summer camp, but now we're doing more of a fall camp event where everyone's gonna, be assigned to a cabin. It's gonna be really fun. So if you want to join, it's gonna be on Thursday. Say camp in the Frogville Discord. By the time we start the stream, Thursday is gonna be epic. And yeah, I'm thinking I'll probably do another one of these late nights. Maybe pop in, see if we can pop in Animal Crossing. Maybe Wednesday night. We'll see. We'll see. Have a great night. You love my shirt? Yes, thank you. It says "Let the Good Times Roll" on it. I don't really know much about it, but I wear it a lot. I like that it's yellow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have a good night, late nighters. I'll see you guys later, alright? Night night.